Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. So let me just check once. Yeah. Yes, it's there. Okay. So before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I'm an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So let's get started. So join with us in Telegram for homework and class notes. You can join the channel Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology. Okay. And Telegram channel of Unacademy ICSE and ISC both. So this link you can find in the description box. Okay. So for special classes, you can learn from your favorite educator for free. Engage with educators via polls. So clear your doubts in the live special classes. Okay. So basically we can conduct a quiz there. So you can, you can take up the quiz. So you can know your rank, because at the end of the quiz, so basically we will be sharing you the leaderboard so that you can know your rank and compete with your friends as well. So there is a separate question tab where you can clear your doubts using the question tab. Okay, so for the top special classes, you can find the link that is there in the description. Now moving on to Unacademy subscription features. So you can learn live from the comfort of your home. Okay, so unlimited access to all the courses will be there. Like different educators will come up with their own courses. So you will have access to all the courses once you take the subscription. Okay, then top educators of India are going to take the classes in one platform, that is Unacademy platform. A regular doubt clearing session is done. Okay, so after about every 3 sessions, the 4th session will be your doubt clearing session. So any doubts you have related to the topics that are previously covered, so you can clear your doubt in the doubt clearing session. Okay, then complete syllabus will be covered, mentorship and guidance is given, study material is given, the practice tests are given, and the live test series as well. So you will have access to batch courses also. Okay, so once you take the subscription, you will have access to Hindi batch, you will have access to English batch as well as a English batch. Okay, so that means depending on your comfort, you can you can go for any of these batches to learn in. All right, so there is daily practice section, weekly mock test series, then you can find live quizzes, daily MCQ and subjective test series will also be there. Okay, now Unacademy plus subscription pricing. So for class 9, so you can have a look at this one. So for class 9, you can try with 6 months. So this is the minimum. Okay, so you can try with 6 months of subscription. All right, and you can see here the for 12 months. So this is the cost around 15k. Okay, so for 12 months it is 15k, but with the referral code, so you can use this code, referral code, that is Vani YT, where you will be getting 10% discount on the subscription. So what is that 10% discount? So after you apply a code, so this is gonna get reduced to somewhere around 13.5k. So why I'm telling about the 12-month subscription is, so since this is the very beginning of your class 9, okay, so you can go with the 12 months of subscription. So we can do the practice sessions after that, where we can discuss a number of questions there. All right, so let's get started with the animal tissue. So basically I'm going to discuss about the epithelial tissue today. Okay, so let's have a look at the epithelial tissue. Yes, anybody? So what all different tissues you find in an animal? Any of you have any idea? What different tissues are there? It's like what all types of tissues do you find in there? No idea? Okay, so let's discuss about this. Okay, so animal tissues, when we mention, so we can find epithelial tissue. Okay, so which can be a covering. Okay, so this can be present as a covering and also as a lining. Lining is basically, lining is covering the inside part. So let's say a stomach is there, so inside the stomach the lining has to be done. So that lining is nothing but on the inner side the coverage which is done, so that is done by the epithelial tissue. Okay, so epithelial tissue is going to cover the particular organ, okay, or cover a particular body part. Okay, so whole body part. As of now, in case of humans, when we talk, like, we are completely covered by a epithelial tissue. Okay, so skin is basically a epithelial tissue that you can find on the outermost layer. Okay, so it can be covering, so it can also be lining. Okay, now connective tissue is there. So what does the connective tissue does? The connective tissue, when we mention, so this is connecting all the organs, okay, or connecting all the body parts. So how exactly this is connecting all the body parts? So now you know there is a blood, then you can find lymph. Okay, so then you know connecting bone to bone, bone to muscle. So basically connection, that means to some extent it is even providing you a support. Okay, so that is bone is there which can provide you a particular shape as well as support. So this is basically a connective. The muscular tissue is for what? This is there for muscular. When we mention, the muscles are there for the movement. Okay, so this is there for the movement. So wherever your body is undergoing a movement, so there you can find these muscle tissue. So now these neural tissues are for senses. Okay, so that is sensation. So sensory perception, we can say. Okay, so here you know different functions are done. Okay, so mainly the protection is one such function. Then you can also find there is, you know, the absorption. Okay, so protection, absorption, then we can see that the secretion is done. All right, so secretion, so perception, so sensory perception, so that is with the specialized epithelial cell, that is a receptor itself. So in that case, so sensory perception also we can take as the function. Okay, so let's have a look at this one now. Now when we mention about, one second, yeah, so now when we, one second, just a second. So there is actually, okay, this is loading, right? All right, so there's some problem. Okay, all right, let's see this. Yeah, okay, so now here in this case, yeah, so now when we mention about epithelial tissue, okay, so today's class we are mainly going to discuss about the epithelial tissue itself. So now under epithelial tissue, the main function of epithelial tissue we already saw that, so this is responsible for protection. Okay, so it is having a main role with respect to protection. So what is another function? So basically absorption is another function. So there is a absorption that can be seen. Okay, so absorption is another function. Then you can see there is a secretion. So secretion is one more function which can be seen. All right, so other than that, you can, you know, the receptor cells which you find, so those are helpful with respect to the sensory perception. So sensory perception, so that is done through this epithelial tissue itself. So based on this now, we can see that the epithelial tissue is helpful in lot more functions. Okay, so let's have a look at this one now. So let's see the different, like now when we mention about the epithelial tissue, so how exactly the placing of this tissue is done. So just a second. Just a second. So this is getting disconnected. So now here the epithelial tissue, okay. The term epithelium was coined by the Riesch, okay. So this tissue provides, so he was the first person who started studying about, you know, the epithelium, and you know the like we can say that instead of the person who started studying, so we can say that the specific term as epithelium was given by the Riesch, okay. So this tissue provides a covering or the lining for some part of the body, okay. So what is that covering or a lining that we are talking about, okay. So we will discuss. So I'll give you some examples so that you can understand so how exactly this, you know, you can find different types of tissues in there. So how exactly these are going to be placed in a different, you know, like placed in the different parts of a body and or all having different functions, okay. So cells are compactly packed without intercellular space. So I'll just show you some of the pictures here. So you can see here all the cells which are placed here. So there is no intercellular space between them, okay. So do you see any intercellular space? No, right? So that is, you can see a very little might be, or usually it is absent. We can say it is, there is no intercellular space, okay. So the cells are compactly packed without any intercellular space. That means now a cell is here, like most of these cells, so these are compactly packed, so without any intercellular space there, okay. And simple epithelium is composed of a single layer of cells and function as lining of the body cavity, the duct and the tube. So let's say here, so now this is with respect to simple epithelium. That means only one covering is there, okay. So now you know this functions as a lining. So let's say now let's say this is a blood vessel, okay. So this is a blood vessel. So on the inside, so outside anyway it is there, so on the inside also, so this blood vessel when we mention, so this is having a endothelium, okay. So this is lined by a epithelium tissue. So this is now a epithelial lining that you can find, okay. So this one is basically a epithelial lining that you can find, okay. So same way on the other side. So this also, now you know, since it is present lining the inside part, so this is lining inside, so this we call as a endothelium, okay. So epithelium or endothelium, so one and the same thing. Only difference is that now this epithelial tissue which is present as a single layer, so this is lining on the inner side, okay. So since it is lining on the inner side, so we can just mention it as a endothelium as well. So same way on the other side also, so this is inside, so this we call as lining, this is not covering, okay. So same way your stomach or the gut when we mention, so that is inside, this is lined by a single layer of epithelium. So now here instead of epithelium we can use the term endothelium, because this is present lining the inner parts, okay. So let's have a look at this one now. So it is composed of a single layer, okay, so which will line the body cavity. So what is that cavity here? So that was the cavity. So here in the blood vessel, so now this is a blood vessel, so this is a tube or this is a duct, okay. Now the compound epithelium consists of two or more than two layers of cell, and it is having a protective function. So let's see this one now. So I'll just explain you what is this, okay. So now you know, always when we mention about epithelial tissue, so based, like you know, on a particular membrane which we can say basement membrane, okay. So now this is a basement membrane is there. So onto this basement membrane, so there are cells that are located. So I'm not drawing a simple epithelium now. I'm drawing a compound epithelium. So what is the compound epithelium here? So it is not that only one layer of epithelial tissues. So you can find many layers of epithelial tissue. Okay. So in that case, so let's say this is a epithelial tissue now. So you can find layers and layers of these epithelial tissue. Okay. So now these are the layers of it. Okay. And now as such we continue. So we can just go on drawing the layers of these epithelial tissue without any intercellular space. Okay. So now this is the case, and whatever is on top. So now how many layers I have drawn? So I am drawing the third layer. So as such, more than one layer of epithelial tissues, so that we can call as a compound, or we can call it as a stratified epithelium. Okay. So irrespective of what might be the shape, or whether this one is a flat cell or whether this is cuboidal cell, so all that doesn't matter. On top, like let's see, you can see on top I have drawn a flat cells now. Okay. So the flat cells are called as a squamous one, irrespective of what is down here. So that is not considered, but when we observe on the top and multiple layers are seen, so this we can see that this is now a squamous epithelium, so stratified one. Okay. Or compound epithelium, so stratified, or we can say squamous epithelium. Okay. So that is because more than one layer that you can find in here. Now with respect to the compound epithelium, so this is basically two or more than two layers which are mainly having a role with respect to the protection. Okay. So whenever there is a requirement of a protection, so multiple layers will be there. So let's see this one now. So epithelial tissue, so this is classified as simple epithelium. So what is the meaning of simple epithelium? That means only one layer you can find. Okay. So only one layer of epithelium that you can find. Now when we mention about a compound epithelium, so two layers or more than two layers. Okay. So more than one or two layers you can find. Okay. So that is for the compound epithelium. Okay. So layers of what? Layers of epithelial. So compound can also be called as the stratified epithelium. Okay. So this can also be mentioned as a stratified epithelium. All right. So now under simple, okay, so we will just discuss about a layer of this one. Okay. So there is a squamous epithelium, there is a cuboidal epithelium, and then there is a columnar epithelium. So that is just one layer of epithelial tissues which is placed on a basement membrane, and you can find that there is a squamous, cuboidal and columnar. So let's see this one now. So you can see this one, the simple epithelium, which is actually a squamous. Okay, so this is a squamous. That means you can see flat cells. Okay, so now you can make a difference between these structures. So this one is flat cell. Okay, so this is a squamous now. So we will just write it here itself. So this one is a squamous epithelium. Now you can see this one is somewhat cuboidal. So even though it looks rectangular here, so this one is basically a cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so this is a cuboidal epithelium, and this one you can clearly see that this is a columnar epithelium. Okay, so cube like cells, column like cells and flat cells. So these are all simple. Why are we saying simple? Because only one layer you can see. Okay, so only one layer of epithelial tissue that you can find here, and that's the reason we call this as a simple epithelium. Okay, so now moving on to the next one. Just a second. Yeah, so I'll just draw it here and explain. So there is a membrane. Okay, So membrane onto which these are placed. Okay, so let's draw a flat one. So in that case you can find squamous epithelium. So there is a squamous epithelium that you can find. Okay, so that means only a single layer of a tissue. So now, or we can just show if we are observing a top view. Okay, so this is now a flat cell with a squamous type of arrangement. Okay, so this can be called as a squamous epithelium. Okay, now same way the cuboidal is present. So this one you can see this part where you see a columnar epithelium, but a cilia you can find here. Okay, so this cilia is there for what? The cilia is there for the movement. So whenever there is a movement that is required, so let me just explain you this here. Okay, so I'll just show you this, just a second. Now you know this squamous epithelium is made of single layer. Okay, so that is flattened cell with irregular boundaries you can find. Okay, so now these are present lining the blood vessel. So wherever easy diffusion has to occur. Okay, so let's say there is a alveoli. Okay, so this one is now a alveoli. Okay, so alveoli is where the exchange of things has to occur. So exchange of gases has to occur. So if a squamous epithelium is there, so that is flat cell, so easy exchange can occur. Okay, so easy exchange. So this is basically a air bag. Okay, so this is alveoli is nothing but a air bag. So now you know this is now a alveoli having the squamous epithelium, that is single lining. So this one we will just label. So this is now a squamous epithelium. Okay, so this is a squamous epithelium. Now down below you can find, so there is a blood vessel. So this is now a blood vessel. Okay, so this blood vessel is also having a single lining, so that is of the squamous epithelium itself. So let's see this one now. So here we will just show the squamous epithelium. So this is a squamous type of epithelial tissue. So why exactly only single layer is there? So easy diffusion can occur across these layers of a cell. So now you know oxygen is taken inside, and from here the carbon dioxide can be given easily if the thickness is less. Okay, so now based on that we can see that the alveoli is present. Hi Ankit, good evening. Yeah, so based on that we can say that the easy diffusion, or we can say exchange of gases, is gonna occur easily. Okay, so only when a single layer thickness is there. So if multiple layers of thickness is there, what is gonna happen? So exchange of gases is not easy. Okay, so if a single layer of thickness is there, so easy exchange of gases can occur, and that's the reason you can find squamous epithelium. The squamous, when we mention, so this is basically a flat cell. Okay, and here you can see the cuboidal epithelium and also the columnar. So let's see where exactly these are present. I'll also explain you where exactly these cells are present. So let's see all of this. Okay, now the cuboidal epithelium. So cuboidal epithelium is made up of a single layered cube like cells. Okay, so you can find a cube like cells, so found in the ducts of a gland and the tubular part of the nephron of a kidney for absorption as well as a secretion. So now function you can know. So one thing is easy diffusion, that is exchange of gases can occur. The other function is absorption and as well as secretion, and also the protection. So multiple layers are there, so protection is the another function. So you can note here this particular membrane what you see. Okay, so this is not actually made up of cells. So this is, you know, just the carbohydrate. So polysaccharides, like, you know, mucopolysaccharides we can mention. So this is, you know, like we can say that it is non-cellular, it is not made up of any cells. So this is a cellular membrane, that it is not having any membrane, and placed on this basement membrane. So we call this as a basement membrane. So placed on a basement membrane, always you can see a layer of cells. So now these are flat cells which are placed onto this particular basement membrane. So always epithelial cells, when we mention, so they have a particular support over there. Okay, so now there is this one, so now found in the ducts and the glands of the nephron. So let's see where exactly do you find a cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so let's draw about this cuboidal epithelium now. Okay, so now with respect to cuboidal epithelium, so this is for cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so now when we mention about cuboidal epithelial tissue, so you know the nephron, right? So there is a nephron. Okay, so lining this nephron, so there is this PCT you can find. Okay, so there is a PCT. Then you can find Henle's loop. Okay, so there is a Henle's loop. Then you can find DCT. Okay, so there is a DCT, and then this will join the collecting duct. So this is a nephron now. Okay, so this structure is of what? This structure is of nephron. Now inside this nephron, so you see these tubes. So this one is proximal convoluted tubule, this one is distal convoluted tubule. So inside these, for absorption, so what absorption? The water absorption, for the glucose absorption. So this one, the cuboidal epithelium is required. So cuboidal epithelium will be present here inside. So inside lining this, you can find there is a cuboidal epithelial tissue. Okay, so we can just show here. So there is a cuboidal epithelium that you can find here, which is mainly responsible for the absorption. So what is being absorbed? The water is being absorbed, and also here some secretion also we can find. So what is that? Let's say you are taking a medication. Okay, so that means you are taking a tablets. So any excess amount of drugs that you are consuming, so all that will be secreted. So that is only the excess one. Okay, so excess amount of the medicines that you are consuming, so that will be secreted here at this particular DCT, that is distal convoluted tubule. So now here that is a cuboidal epithelium itself is doing the function of absorption. So absorption of water and glucose is done, and also the unrequired, like there is excess amount is this, so that secretion is also done by this cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so now with respect to that, so this is found in the ducts of the gland, tubular part of the nephron, so that is for the absorption. Okay, and let's have a look at this one now, the columnar epithelium. So where exactly do you find a columnar epithelium? Okay, so columnar epithelium are made of tall and slender cells. So you can find this. So there is a tall cell, so these are slender cells, like they are thin, like they are tall and they are lean. Okay, so the nuclei are located at the base, so you can always find that the nucleus is always located at the base of this particular cell. So that is the columnar epithelium. Okay, so columnar epithelium are made of tall and these are slender cells. So nuclei are located at the base. Now free surface may have microvilli. Okay, so there might be free surface which can have a microvilli found in lining of stomach as well as the intestine. So where exactly do you find? So that is lining the stomach, lining the intestine, you can find this particular columnar epithelium. So that is mainly the microvilli. So I'll just show you this. Let's say this is the intestine now. Okay, so this part is basically a intestine. Okay, so we will just write small intestine. Okay, so here in this small intestine, lining the small intestine, you can find a columnar epithelium with the microvilli. So this is a microvilli now. Okay, so I'll just label this part. Just a second. So now you see this part, right? So this is actually the microvilli. Okay, so what exactly is the use of microvilli? So basically it is, if the surface is like this, let's say now this is a columnar epithelium, the surface area is not more here because this is completely straight like this. Okay, but if the surface area is like this, okay, so in that case what we can find, the foldings are this, so surface area is going to increase. So what is the requirement of a surface area to increase? So why exactly there is a surface area should increase? So surface area should increase so that more and more absorption of food can occur. So that is in the small intestine. So this is mainly for the absorption of food, that is simple food. Okay, so absorption of simple food will be done if the surface area is increased. So that is because of the microvilli. Okay, so that is the reason we can find in the small intestine, so we can find many of the columnar epithelium with many of the microvilli like this, so that increase in surface area can be seen. Okay, and that increase in surface area will help in the absorption function. Okay, so that more and more absorption of a food can be done. Now ciliated ones are called as a ciliated epithelium. Okay, so columnar and cuboidal epithelium, they are specialized for secretion. So these are also known as glandular epithelium, which I'll discuss about. So glandular epithelium can be unicellular as in goblet cells, that is of alimentary canal, and multicellular as in salivary gland. So I'll just explain you what it is. Okay, so now columnar and cuboidal epithelium specialized. So one more thing that I'll explain you here. All right, so now there is actually uterus in case of a woman. Okay, so this is with respect to women uterus. All right, so here this is the uterus now. Okay, so you can find there is a cervix, and then there is a vagina. Okay, so this is basically a vagina that you can find. All right, and then so this is now a fallopian tube. So this is actually the uterus that I'm drawing here. Okay, so now with respect to that, so this is where the baby is present. Okay, so here we can say the baby is present inside here, that is growing in the mother's womb. So let's just draw this part. Now this is where the, okay, so we will just show the baby here. Okay, so this is a fetus. All right, so now with respect to this, you can see that the ovary is present here. So now this is a ovary. So ovary is producing a ovum. Okay, and that ovum is picked up by the fimbriae. So ovum is going to be picked up. So the one second. So this is now a ovum. Okay, so now when we mention about ovum, so this ovum is non-motile. Okay, so this is non-motile, that means it is not having any flagella or tail-like structure to move the ovum from here to here. The ovum is basically has to move this side. Okay, so now you can find a columnar epithelium here. Okay, so columnar epithelium, that is specially the ciliated columnar you can find in here. Okay, so this ciliated columnar epithelium which you can find on both the sides. Okay, so this is basically a columnar epithelium. So they are going to move this particular ovum in this direction. Okay, so now the ovum is going to move from here to here because of this ciliated epithelium which is there lining this fallopian tube of the uterus. Okay, so that is a female reproductive system basically. Okay, so in that case now this is a fallopian tube. One second. So here is fallopian tube. So now this ovum has to move till here for the fertilization to occur, because the sperm is coming, and here you can see a fertilization that can be seen. Okay, so usually the egg is not having the capability to move. Okay, So there has to be something which will move this ovum from here to here, so that the cilia are moving in this direction. So that means now the cilia is pushing this ovum in this direction, so that the ovum reaches here. The fertilization process will occur. Okay, and after that we can see that there is a formation of an embryo. So embryo formation we can see once the fertilization is successful. Okay, so this is basically, you know, the columnar epithelial cells are the ones which are responsible for this one. So I'll give you one more example here. Okay, 1 second, I'll just erase this. Yeah, so now, you know, here is the respiratory tract. Okay, so this is a respiratory tract. So let's see, this is now a trachea. Okay, so trachea is also lined by what? The trachea is lined by a particular epithelial tissue. So this is, you know, it is lined by a epithelium. So this is a columnar. So on this side also you can find there is a columnar epithelial tissue. Okay, and along with that you can find, so there are some goblet cells. Okay, so that is the single cells which are actually called as the goblet cell, because they are responsible for synthesis of the mucus. Okay, so now here also, so let's say through the air the dust particle or maybe a bacteria that enters. Okay, so let's say the bacteria has entered in here. So, okay, this is a bacteria now which has entered in here. So now we need to throw this bacteria outside. So in that case, this is now a columnar epithelium which is again ciliated. So you can find a cilia in there. Okay, so now, you know, these cilia are going to move in a specific direction, so not in this direction. So I'll just erase this. So ciliated epithelium wherever you find, so this is basically help you, this will help you in movement of the cilia is going to be in a specific direction, so that whatever dust or whatever bacteria that has entered, so all that will be thrown out of the body. Okay, so that is through your windpipe. So now, you know, this bacteria, so this will be pushed. Okay, so now bacteria is here, so there are many more cells as such. Okay, so there are many more cells as such, so along with the goblet cell, so you can find many of the ciliated cells here. Okay, so these are the ciliated cells. Now this bacteria is, you know, is going to move out of this trachea, that is outside, it is coming outside, like, you know, to the atmosphere. So that is because the bacteria is trapped in a mucus. Okay, so bacteria is trapped where? So bacteria is trapped in a mucus, and the cilia is going to help. So cilia will move in one particular direction, so that this trapped bacteria is thrown out of the body. Okay, so that is the function of the columnar epithelium, so especially the ciliated columnar epithelium. Okay, so now here I told you the goblet cell, so that is glandular. So another function which we mention is the glandular epithelium may be unicellular, as in case of goblet cell of alimentary canal, or these can also be multicellular, as in case of a salivary gland. So you can have a look at this picture now. Okay, so now you can see this part. So this is now a epithelium, so that is a columnar epithelium itself. So I'll just show you this. So this part, what you see, so this is a columnar epithelium. At the base of this columnar epithelium you can find a nucleus. You can see there is a cilia over here. Okay, so the next cell is basically a goblet cell. So this cell, what you see now, so this is a goblet cell, and this goblet cell is for what? This goblet cell is for the mucus secretion. Okay, so these are all unicellular, like, you know, alone they are working. So now goblet cell is the columnar cell itself which secretes the mucus. So the function here is what? Secretion. So secretion of mucus. So this is also a goblet cell itself. So this whole thing, so here mucus is done, mucus is is prepared, and now this is a whole cell where mucus synthesis can be seen. So now this complete thing what you see here, so this is all mucus. So that means a goblet shaped cell is the one which is secreting a mucus. So this is unicellular gland. Now you can find, so cuboidal epithelium can be there, or you can also find a columnar epithelium. So multicellular gland. So now this is a gland over here, okay, which is responsible for what? So you can see in this multicellular as in case of a salivary gland. So saliva secretion we can see over here. So saliva is being secreted, okay. So saliva is for what? So saliva is basically keeping your mouth lubricated, and also there is the enzymes are present which will also help in the digestion. So now based on that we can see that the multicellular gland is this one which is responsible for the saliva secretion, okay. So saliva, sweat secretion, then we can also say that the salivary gland also comes under this. So I'll just write a list over here, so just a second. Yeah, so under multicellular, so we can see salivary gland is there, okay. So there is salivary gland, then there is sweat gland, so sweat production occurs. So then there is mammary gland, okay. So then you can find a mammary gland there which is there for the milk production. Then you can find a sebaceous gland, okay. So sebaceous gland or sebum gland also we can mention. So this is sebaceous gland, okay. And other than that sweat is done. So this is all these are different glands that we can find, okay. So now with respect to that, so these are all made up of many epithelial cells which can be either cuboidal, okay, or these can be columnar epithelium also, and they can also have a brush border. So now let's say this is a cuboidal epithelium. So cuboidal epithelium can have a brush border like this, or cuboidal epithelium can remain just like this. So basically if a brush border is there, so that the surface area can be increased. So this one is placed on a basement membrane, so you can see this type of cell. So same way columnar epithelium, so there is a basement membrane, so placed on to this basement membrane, so you can see a columnar epithelium, okay. So at the base you can find a nucleus. So this is not as base. For columnar it is usually at the base, okay. And you can find there is this brush border again. So you can also find so many of the brush border cells. So if a brush border is there, so this is going to increase the surface area, so that more and more absorption, more and more secretion function can be done. So now when we mention about a cuboidal epithelium or a columnar epithelium, the main function is absorption, the main function is secretion. So these are the functions which are performed by the cuboidal as well as the columnar epithelium. So with that brush border, so increase in surface area we can see, so that more production of the particular enzyme or particular juice secretion. So intestinal juice is secreted, okay, the gastric juice is secreted, so different juice secretion, so or the enzyme secretion in general, so sweat secretion, then there is the salivary secretion, so the saliva secretion, so all that can be seen, so that is done, so all that can be secreted mainly with the help of cuboidal or a columnar. Now main function of compound epithelium when we mention, so this is to provide a protection, so that is providing a protection against what? So this is to provide protection against chemical and mechanical stress, okay. So in order to prevent one from having the chemical or mechanical stress, so let's say there is a pressure, so there is a lot of pressure that is applied, so in that case the epithelial tissue is the one which is going to provide you a protection. So they cover the dry surface of the skin, the moist surface of the buccal cavity. So I'll just give you an example here. So now this is a buccal cavity which is a moist one. So inside, so mouth cavity is there, Okay, so mouth cavity or the space when we mention, so let's say this is the mouth. Okay, so on the inside, so this is basically a mouth. Okay, so on the inner side, okay, so this is on the inner side, so this is again lined, so this is on the inner side I'm talking about. Okay, so lining, okay, so lining, so that is a multiple, so stratified epithelium you can find. Okay, so that is a buccal cavity, you can find a stratified epithelium. So this can be buccal also, we can write, so buccal cavity. So stratified epithelium, that means not just one layer of epithelial tissues. This you can find a basement membrane or as usual, so on to that you can find many of the layers of these tissues that are placed onto this one. Okay, so now layers and layers of tissues you can find. So this we can say that, you know, stratified, or we can say that the compound epithelium is present. Okay, so compound epithelium is mainly there to protect your organs. Okay, so this is for the protection. So same way now we will see one more thing. So in the same way, I was just about to explain about the skin. Okay, so skin, you know, so there is actually the I mean epidermis is there, then dermis is there, and hypodermis. So let's see this. So let's say this is the skin now. Okay, so then you can find a dermis layer there. So now you can find a hypodermis. Okay, so now this part what you find, so this is now a epidermal part, so this is a epidermis, and here this is a dermis part. Okay, so this is in a skin. Okay, and this one is a hypodermis. Okay, so this is now a hypodermis. So in all these cases, so like whole of this together when we mention, so this is a skin now. Okay, so this epidermis is basically multiple, so compound epithelium that you can find in the epidermal region. So this is a compound epithelial tissue. Okay, so this is a compound epithelium. So same way when we mention about a dermis, so dermis is actually a connective tissue. So this is, you know, connective tissue you can find. So hypodermis also, this is again a adipose tissue, so which is again a connective tissue itself. So there you can find a adipose tissue. Okay, so now with respect to that, you can see that the compound epithelium, so you can see here, cover the dry surface. So that is, you know, this part basically hand when we mention, so this is the dry surface now. So cover the dry surface of the skin, so moist surface of the buccal cavity. So all that is done by the compound epithelium, which can give a protection against the chemical or a mechanical stress. Is this clear? Any doubt in this? Okay, so let's see this. Any of you, if you have any doubt, you can ask. Any doubt? Okay, so let's see. The ciliated columnar epithelial cells in human are known to occur where? So I just told you this one. So I just drew the example like where exactly these are present. So you know, eustachian tube is there, stomach lining, the bronchioles and the fallopian tube, the bile duct and the esophagus, fallopian tube and the urethra. So this is the answer. Okay, so that is because there is a trachea. Okay, so this one is a trachea now, which is, you know, dividing into primary bronchi. Okay, so then there is further division, so there is a secondary bronchi here, so there is again a secondary bronchi, then you can see a tertiary bronchi, so there is a tertiary bronchi, then, you know, so here also you can see there is a tertiary bronchi as such. Okay, Then after that, after the tertiary bronchi formation, so you can see the bronchioles. So these bronchioles are like, terminating bronchi. So again this is further divided, and at the end you can find a alveolar sac. Okay, so here also primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, tertiary bronchi is done, and here you can see this bronchiole, and this bronchiole is the one which is having a alveolar sac. Okay, so now here the bronchioles, when we mention, so these are having a columnar epithelium. Okay, so everywhere, so this is including even the trachea part, the primary bronchi. Okay, so everywhere you can find this particular columnar epithelium, which is actually ciliated. So you can find a cilia over there. Okay, so ciliated columnar epithelium that you can find, which is going to trap the microbe or any dust particle that is entering, and it is going to throw it out of the body. Okay, so bronchioles and the fallopian tube you can find, and in that you can find. Okay, so now a kind of epithelium which forms the inner walls of the blood vessel. Okay, so this I told you, like already, for easy diffusion. So what is the requirement with respect to the exchange that has to occur? Okay, so whenever easy diffusion has to occur, so we usually do not require multiple layers. So we just want one simple layer so that easy exchange can occur. So the kind of epithelium which forms the inner walls of the blood vessel. So there is a blood vessel. Okay, and this blood vessel on the inside, so that I told you endothelium. Okay, so on the inside, like on inner side, so this is lined by a particular type of a tissue. So that is a flat type of cells you can find, and those flat cells are nothing but the squamous epithelium. Okay, so if a squamous epithelium is present, so which is completely these are the flatter cells, so that easy exchange of things can occur. Okay, so squamous epithelium is the one. Now epithelial tissue which is present on the inner surface of the bronchioles and the fallopian tube is basically, so this is a ciliated type. Okay, so why do we say that this is ciliated type? Because it can trap, so that is in case of bronchiole, so this can trap the dust, okay, or maybe a microbe, okay, along with the mucus. So this is along mucus, and then with the help of a cilium. Okay, so with help of cilium, so this particular trap thing, okay, so this is with the help of cilia movement. Okay, so this is with the help of cilia movement. So whatever trapped thing is there, so that can be sneezed out. Okay, so sneezing or the coughing, so basically are the ways where you are trying to throw out the unwanted things. Okay, alright, so we are at the end of the session. So I just explained you about the epithelial tissue. So any doubt you have, you can get in touch through the Telegram channel. So that is, you can search Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology on Telegram, and you can join the channel. So any doubts you have, you can get it clear then. Okay, so guardians batch, so this is all subject batch. So for ICSE class 9, the start date is May 4th. So this started previously, and the mode of delivery here is English. Okay, so you can subscribe for ICSE class 9. So you will get class 10 as well as class 11 and 12 subscription absolutely free. Okay, so in the meanwhile, if you are taking a subscription for class 9, so in the meantime you will be getting a subscription for class 10 also, so you can attend the class 10 as well. Okay, so here PCMB subjects are covered. So maths, physics, chemistry and biology subjects are covered, so you will have access to all their courses and the batches as well. Okay, so Avengers batch, so this is all subject batch, which is again gonna start from May 11th. So you can have a look at these subjects. So again, the PCMB are mainly covered, and the mode of delivery here is English. So if you are subscribing for class 9, so you will be getting class 10 11 subscription as well as 12 subscription absolutely free. So in the meanwhile, you can prepare for these classes as well. So never miss on any update from your favorite educator. So get session notes and practice material. Share your feedback directly with the educator via poll. So this is the community. So check out the link to the educator community below. So you will find the community link here. Okay. Bucks Bounty, though this is opportunity for all learners to report any inappropriate content in the video. So be the first one to report a particular issue to claim your prize. Report any inappropriate content using the form in the description. So how you can watch my special classes? All you need to do is download the Unacademy Learner app. Open the app and click on get started. Okay, so then you can enter your mobile number and OTP. Okay, so once you enter your mobile number and OTP, so you can sign up using your email ID. Okay, then you can select the class 6 to 12. So you need to select the class 6 to 12. Then you can select your class, like you need to select your category, that is ICSE category. Okay, so that is also available. Then which language would you prefer to learn in? So you can either go for English or a Hindi or a English. So click on that, go to the description of this video and click on the special class link. Okay, so click on notify me and you will get notified 10 minutes before the class begins. Okay, so you will find the link in the description box. So click on that. After that, you can follow all these steps, and then you will get a notify me option. So whenever a special class is there, so if you just click on that, so just 10 minutes before the class begins, so you will be getting a notification. So you can also use my code to unlock the special class for free. Okay, so what is the code? So Vani YT is the code where you can unlock many of the free products that are available on Unacademy. So you can unlock using Vani YT. Okay, so thank you all. So see you all in the next session. So click on bell icon to get notified about the classes. Also subscribe to our channel, that is Unacademy ICSE and ISC both. Like and share the video. Okay, so download the Unacademy Learners app, and this PDF you can find on my Telegram channel as well. So my Telegram channel is basically Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10. Okay, so let me just write this. So Vani Kari ICSE class 9 and 10 biology, you can search, you will find this. Okay, all right then, so see you all in the next session. So thank you everyone, bye bye.